Morning football.
Welcome to the acclaimed podcast, The Deep Dive, featuring your esteemed hosts, Andy Monitor and Drew Dinzik, powered by BetSperts.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Andy, I'm going to set the
Nice
over-under for hours spent thinking about the NFL draft today. I'm going to set your over-under at 3.5. Is that a sharp number?
The chat has been off the rails for what? The better part of. Do you remember the draft chat like 3 months ago?
5 in the morning my time.
Oh my
so
God,
it's been a while.
And then
We're
just
coming up
not
on
only
9
that, but
hours. Yeah.
Truth be told, the deep dive degenerates.
Yeah. They're rocking.
Those guys are getting down on the draft. Like there's some guys like, man, I see you making 3 more bets every day, buddy. You've got a portfolio put together at this point.
Yeah.
Which is
if you can get the liquidity, why not?
Yeah, there's something to be said. I know I need to check. I have a local I basically only use for football that I just don't open. So I haven't really looked at it. I guess maybe I missed the boat on some stuff. I think it's so long it's been since I logged in. Pretty sure it's a Buckeye. I'm going to go see. I'm going to just start spinning through some locals and seeing if there's anything upcoming. Circa went up today, which is exciting. Food Snob, yes, we did it early just for you. Vive la France. And just nice and early. Not only is there, we should pump the brakes or pump the tires a little on the 4for4 show. They're doing a pretty good draft show. They've got Evan Silva and Joey Knish and Elvin Silva.
Yes.
I'm going to call him
what
Elvin.
Time? Uncle K and Evan Silva? All right.
It's late. It's like 8:15 Central. They tend to do these late because, Joey has to pick up all the dog shit in the neighborhood as punishment. But there's
that for a second.
So the move the line guys, and then Evan Silva, jug drinker Evan Silva, and dirtball Joey Knish tonight talking draft stuff on I should get them to simulcast that over on the BetSperts YouTube channel too. That's a good enough show that anybody and everybody should be trying to find that. So I'm going to watch that after I go to a first grade music concert.
Oh, nice.
2 reasons I wanted to move it up today.
You want extra chaos in your life this week. That's really what you were asking for. Yeah, things were too settled down. You wanted a little extra chaos.
Well, not only that, and here's the thing. I don't know if I Mandela effect myself into this. I'm 95% sure when I bought tickets to the Timberwolves game Saturday, it was a 7 p.m. game.
That's true, I think.
I think they moved it because, again, it's smaller markets, Memphis, Minneapolis. I think they moved it to the late slot.
I think they did, too.
Because I told my wife, because I brought my 10-year-old, and I said, oh, it's like a 7 p.m. game. She had a volleyball tournament early in the morning on Sunday, which good lesson. First thing she mentions to the coach, I got home at 2 a.m. last night because we went to the game. Like, that's not how you get playing time. Tell the coach that you spent all night drinking. Basically, that 10-year-old's version of that. So, yeah, they moved the game to a late time, which was it didn't affect the crowd. The crowd was electric.
The game was electric. It was close the whole game.
I swear to God, and I was telling this to somebody just now who's more of a Chicago fan. Obviously, Cat is the star of the team. He's a perennial all-star. Anthony Edwards really coming into his own as a young superstar. Jared Vanderbilt is a nice addition inside. I think he scored
fit for the other guys they got.
I think he scored 12 points on 6 dunks.
Yep,
like that's his move.
Right.
A couple of the other guys, nice fits. Nobody gets the love like Pat Bev. Like he's like the whole city just fell in love with him. It's weird.
Well, this is the thing. If he's on your team, you're like, I'm all in. Like this guy's gonna leave it all out there for me.
Yeah, he's AJ Brzezinski. If he's on the other team, you hate his guts.
Oh my God, I'm like, yeah. There were some times I bet against him in Game 3. I was on the Grizz in that absolutely stupid, insane
Oh, the
come back
comeback,
from 20 points, 26 points, or whatever the hell
I was
the
watching
biggest
Wyoming.
deficit was.
Or what's it called? Yellowstone.
Yellowstone. Okay. Well, you were smarter for having not watched that game because we were all stupider. Killed a lot of brain cells watching that one. But that whole first quarter when the Timberwolves took a 21-point lead and Bev was just like, I just out of control, like checking Ja into timeouts and things like that. I was just like, I was ready for somebody to take him out. I was like, get this guy the fuck out of here. I was like, I have seen enough Pat Beverly tonight. Get him out of here. And ultimately it was all, it all worked out. But
do you remember the play-in game? Do you remember the double technical they called?
Yeah. I bet on Minnesota, so I was like loving it. I was loving it in that game.
Was like
and I was
slapping him
against Memphis. Hated. So yeah, no, he's one of the players where if he's your guy, if he's on your team, if he's playing for your interests, you love him. And if it's the other way around, you would like to see him hit by a car. So that's the way it goes.
He's just super well loved up here. It was fun. Target Center was rocking. Good games. Like there's been so the nice part about the NBA playoffs early on, the nice part about the NBA playoffs in general is once you get later in the playoffs, you have a lot of good games because it's only the good teams left.
Yeah. And
early on in the playoffs, you have some stinkers. Yeah. But the volume makes up for it. There's always at least a couple of good ones. You're never going to have all stinkers in one day. So there's been a bunch of good games.
And thankfully, Celtics Nets came through with us and gave us classics early.
Yeah. I just can't fathom a team struggling with a 2 seed like this. It's embarrassing. Not my squad. Not my. I have a hat now.
We need to not laugh because I mean, the fucking Suns, man.
Yeah, the Suns are in.
I'm ready to pull the fucking shoot on them.
Are we? We need to rally Said Valley, get them rolling. Are you? Let's start with
at this
Suns.
point. If they ultimately come through this series, I will be breathing a deep sigh of relief. But my expectations for them have been lowered more than any other team in these playoffs, and it's been by a lot.
Do you want to? Should we just skip draft talks, save that all for Wednesday, and just do NBA today?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Draft talk is tabled. We'll get into it Wednesday. Maybe guests. I don't know. I'm excited to close the book on the draft Wednesday and then sit around and stress all day Thursday. They should just have the draft at like 8 a.m. My God, just get it over with.
Yeah.
It's such a TV event though. No. So I don't know. I thought back to preseason and I think most of the smart people I know laughed quite a bit at the Lakers moves, but they were even more disappointing than even most people considered them. Like, man, they're going to be a lower seed. That's going to be hilarious. Noops just put a bunch of different bets on them to be much lower than a lower seed, completely out, which is funny and great that he cashed. But the Nets, the Nets being the Nets have been maybe the most puzzling thing for me. We'll get to that. We'll talk Suns to start though. Is it a legitimate concern at this point? Because it's a 3-game series.
Yeah, this is like a 3-alarm fire.
What's the maximum alarms? 5?
5.
Okay. I'm not a firefighter.
Yeah, like I wasn't sleeping last night because I was having dreams that the Suns were in progress losing game 5. I was dreaming about them in progress losing a game that wasn't even a deciding game. That's the level of concern that I have.
Game 5 is like that point. So your Suns are serving at 30-30 and it's 5-all. That 30-30 point in the tennis match, it's just so massive because the first to 40 is just sitting in that catbird seat. Game 5s are massive. It stinks for my squad. They got to go down to, again, fuck Memphis, but that's got to be so awesome just to go down there and get barbecue every few days. I should have been in the NBA. That'd have been great.
Okay, so far, if you step back and look macro at the NBA, I think I had a pretty much a dead read on 7 of the 8 series. The one that I missed was the Suns. And I can excuse this away by saying who the hell knew Booker was going to get hurt in game 2, and flip that series wide open. Who knew that Brandon Ingram was going to perform at this level in a playoff environment? That was an unexpected twist. But the reality is where we sit now. I'm very concerned that the Suns are going to lose that series, and it's going to hurt a lot. It's going to hurt me big time. Not just for future equity that will, go right out the window, but got them into Calcutta and got them for a lot. And if they don't even win one series, it's going to be a bloodletting.
I was wondering why you were worried about them just getting through one. Like that.
If they get through this series,
I'd forgotten about the Calcutta.
If they get through one series, it's worth, I think, $50K or something. And so it makes it hurt a lot less if they ultimately flame out in the second round. But a week ago, we were sitting here, they were minus 3,000 to win this series. I was looking at the 4-5 matchup between the Jazz and the Mavericks, and it was like, awesome. They're going to draw one of either this dysfunctional joke that is the Jazz, or they're going to get a limited Mavs team with an injured Luka. Like, this is sweet. Our path to the Western Conference Finals is cake. Only thing I got to worry about is see how the Warriors come together and what kind of matchup that'll be for them. Now it's completely flipped upside down. Now I am like constantly refreshing, looking for injury news about Chris Paul. I'm constantly like kind of trying to get anything positive, glean anything positive about Devin Booker coming back. Devin Booker has meant so much more than people realized. He was true blue first team All-NBA this year. And his absences felt immensely. Chris Paul, it felt like he left everything on the floor in that fourth quarter of Game 3. I don't know if you saw that, but he was unbelievable in that fourth quarter. But that seems to have been everything that he had. Because he played poorly in Game 4, on top of the fact that he may be dealing with an injury now, which is just like nightmare city.
On brand.
Not only on, or earlier than normal. We knew that an injury was coming. This is a little earlier than I was hoping. But it's the role players all turned back into pumpkins. Like nobody is doing their job contributing from a role player standpoint at this point. Mikal Bridges, that guy was seriously considered for Defensive Player of the Year. That guy, like his contributions.
I said that about JJJ the other day.
Man, Brandon Ingram looks unstoppable. Jose Alvarado and Herb Jones are all of a sudden like a tag team, all defense, all energy. Fourth quarter.
Yeah, people were tweeting about that, and I thought, I'm like, is that one of the teams in the golf tournament I didn't hear about? Like,
Herb,
I'm not sure these people are.
Herb and Jose are.
Herb Jones sounds like a golfer.
Playing out of their mind. Now, granted, this is like coming off of them performing well in Game 2 and then looking decent in the 2 home games, and maybe in a Game 5 with the pressure and the lights brighter, they turn, they wilt a little bit, but. I do not feel good about this at all.
Our friend Brett brings up a good point, and this was my thought process as Noops was going over this morning as well. Like, aren't you sitting on a much better coach?
Are we?
I mean, let's take 3 steps back, close our eyes, wash away what's happened so far, because there's been some adversity, like you said. You've had some role players. Just have some bad. Sometimes it's just a perfect storm of you have an injury, you have a secondary injury that someone's playing through, and a couple role players have bad days, and it stinks because you only have so many games, and if you lose 4 of them, then you run out of games completely. But I think if you look at him for his career, or even just let's look at the last 2 years, like, don't you feel a little better about the coaching matchup? I'm kind of there. I think
Green was one of his assistants. Like Green's anticipating a lot of this stuff. And
40 chess on him.
And honestly, like, I've always kind of felt like Monty Williams was an amazing regular season coach. And he made a run through to the finals last year without ever having the best player in any series he played in. But it didn't, there's still, I don't know that he has a ton of adjustments to go with this unit. Like, I don't want to see more, the most effective player for them yesterday was JaVale McGee offensively. Like, I don't need more JaVale McGee minutes in this game. No way. Like, you need to get more out of some of your role players, and particularly get better offensive looks for these guys. A lot of guys just standing around, a lot of guys just expecting this to be a lot easier than it has been. And it's like, I feel like in general in that locker room, even with Monty specifically, like they don't understand how serious things are in terms of how much danger they're in. And I feel like I can directly sense it. Like it's definitely real. They could lose game 5. They could lose in 6. It's entirely on the table. And this is insane for a team that was minus 3,000 to start the series.
Yeah. You're being accused of trying the reverse jinx. If that is true, you are all in on, like you're fully in, you were committed to the bit. Yesterday I found out who Jonas Valanciunas plays for.
Who is Jonas Valanciunas?
I just bet on all those. Like, shout out to our guy Darren.
Oh yeah, Darren's been on.
Yeah, when a sharp fantasy mind starts playing some very selective spots on NBA prop markets, you just go along with it.
Oh, he had the Grayson Allen called 6 3-pointers yesterday. What a call that was. That was like 30-1, something like that.
Yeah, the Grayson Allen call.
Yeah. Okay, so great. This is not a reverse jinx. This is not false concern. The Pelicans are very, very, very good. And they are playing with confidence. They're playing with house money. They're being well coached, and they're deep. They have more adjustments in their back pocket than the Phoenix Suns do without Devin Booker available and with Chris Paul potentially limited. This is like watching a car crash, and you know how it ultimately ends. And
Can you say the last name right?
It's Jonas Valanciunas, not Valanciunas, not Valanciunas. What did you say?
Valanciunas.
Yeah, you gave it a very Catalan Hispanic affectation there.
I like that.
But no, he is Jonas Valanciunas.
Lithuanian. It's Lithuania.
Yeah, it's Baltic, not Iberian Peninsula, Andy.
I don't think he played college. Like if a guy didn't play college at all,
I don't think
I'm really gonna struggle with his last name.
Valanciunas was pretty funny though. I have to relook at his spelling to see how you came up with that. Anyway, he's good. He's a good player. Honestly, like the Pelicans have good spacing. They have size. There's really nothing I can say about this team that's like they're frauds. Like they are for real, and they are going to be a very tough out for the Suns. And I'm just like hoping against hope that someone like we need a Cam Johnson game. We need a Jay Crowder game. And the fact that I am saying we need a blank game from these guys is a fucking problem. It seriously is. Like this shouldn't come down to needing these guys to step up and have a game of their life. But there we are. Because Brandon Ingram, for whatever it's worth, he looks like prime KD. Like his shot is so fucking pure. It's so pure, and it's absolutely outrageous because they're playing good defense on him. It's not a matter of they just need to tweak the defensive scheme a little bit, double him or here and there, and put him in positions where he doesn't want to, where he doesn't want the ball and has to take a discontested shot. Like he's doing it from anywhere. So it's been rough, man. It's been rough. And with that said, let's talk about where we were right.
Now imagine this. This is going to be like the end of Time to Kill, where you have to close your eyes and imagine this. Now imagine this Pelican team with maybe we redo that draft. Maybe they take Ja Morant.
Oh man,
or RJ Barrett. Like I think Tyler Hero was in that draft class. Like they're doing this without a number 1 overall pick. That's kind of wild.
It is kind of wild. It is. What was that? The 2019 NBA draft?
I think
it was, right? It was the year before the Pandy. There was a couple other guys in that draft who would be giving them more than Zion Williamson.
Jordan Poole's the best player.
Jordan Poole. Right now. Oh my God, Jordan Poole was 28th off the board in that
Kevin
draft.
Porter Jr. was final in the first round there.
Jordan Poole, by the way,
Cam
would
Reddish
be on the all-playoff team if you named one.
Here's another name I can't name. Rui Hachimura.
Rui Hachimura. He was a Gonzaga Bulldog. All right, so let's move on to some series where we did have a decent read, and we'll start with the rest of the West. Grizzlies, mini. We knew that one was going to be a weird because of the inexperience. We knew that one was going to go long, and here we are. It's now a best of 3. You have to tip you have to tilt your advantage in favor of Memphis just because they have home court in game 5 and 7, but it's not like Minnesota didn't show up and play well in game 1 on the road. It was a tough spot. So that should be it should be a decent it should be a decent opportunity here. But what were your takeaways of the T-Wolves and how they match up against the Grizzlies going into this now best of 3 series?
I think while you're probably right, there is some value on a team that has, and again, you're paying like $3 for the price now right now on Memphis, but man, doesn't it feel like a couple of teams that they shoot a shitload of threes, and that's variant. Like, don't you just kind of want to take the Timberwolves at a dog price here? And if they take game 5, then you can buy back. I don't know. Maybe it's a waste of money, but it feels like, the Timberwolves didn't shoot well from deep to start the game. They're a front running team in game 2. And it went to hell right away. Mm-hmm. And then I think they made 18 threes the other night. If they do that, it doesn't matter if they leave Desmond Bane open for half the day and he makes almost that many himself. Like, they're still just going to end up being ahead most of the game. So I don't know. It just does feel like and here's another question. Is Ja 100%? Someone made I think it was our guy Duel or Grip. Somebody, one of the, I call them the tough guys, Duel and Grip. They're tough guys. But somebody said, he's like, if I didn't know better, he's like, Ja looks like he's throwing games at this point. He's playing. He looked rough. A lot of his drives to the basket, it's like, oh man, this is a guy who always like seems like he has a plan when he's cutting, and he looks like he's going in there like Andy, just running the ball. Like some of the looks he's had, his 3-point shot is garbage right now. Like Ja does look a little rough right now, but Bane stepped up, a couple other guys stepped up. It feels like they have a decent enough bench, although they put out a lineup there where I felt really bad Saturday night. Like, why aren't we extending the lead against this lineup? This is a bad lineup at certain points. So I don't know, that it seems like anyone's serious. Obviously, Memphis has 2 home games. I would assume they probably get it done, but wouldn't surprise me if it took all the games.
I will say Ja looks out of sorts. I don't think he's throwing these games.
No, that's ridiculous.
But the way he was playing, it wasn't crazy to say it. Was like that. Like, there were stretches even in the game where he got ended with the triple double in the big comeback game. I think there were long stretches of that game where it was like, what the hell are you doing, man? I think realistically, he is not getting the superstar whistle. He's not getting the regular season whistle, and he hasn't really adjusted to that yet. And he does look like he is dealing with a couple of physical ailments that he hasn't made public. And if this is this close series, that's why. Catalan has nothing to do with it.
Always we always say something silly about it.
Is it more French? Whatever. I was thinking Iberian Peninsula.
I don't know. I thought it was too. It's part of, I'm going to reread For Whom the Bell Tolls, because I don't really care for the Utah game tonight.
Okay. Well, final thoughts on that.
So you don't, but that was my question. You don't think he's hurt? Like, he might be, I don't know. We had a coach in high school. Like, are you hurt or are you injured?
Yeah, he's dealing with, everybody's banged up. He's dealing with it. And honestly, if you want to talk about, let's take a step back. One of the broader takeaways from the playoffs to this point is everybody is getting hurt. Like, there is no, this was a grind of a season off of a shortest ever non-off season for a lot of players who played in the Olympics. And all these guys are taking some serious damage, and it's showing. Hopefully the product does not suffer and we still get a good rest of the season, rest of the playoffs out of it. But just based on damage and healthy bodies, you have to tip your hat in favor of Boston and Golden State at this point, because they're looking least scathed.
That's what sucks about if the Timberwolves do pull off.
You ready?
Something wild, like, man, going playing Golden State, that's out of the frying pan into the fire.
Let's talk about how to bet the rest of this Grizz Timberwolves series. Have you followed what's going on with these totals?
Yeah, so they're high.
They're very high.
But then you end up with these weird lulls, and it's usually the Timberwolves get out to a 15-point lead, and then the total is at the pregame total, if not higher. And then the Timberwolves don't score for 7 minutes, and the total drops back down into, let's say, the 220s.
Yeah.
You bet it. And then the Timberwolves start scoring again. They push the lead out to 10. Then they give up some open threes, and all of a sudden the total's 238 again. Like I don't know if it's something to be said for once Timberwolves get out to these leads, they seem to fall into these lulls. And it's not always a lull. It seems like nothing seems to change about Memphis. They're pretty steady. So if you get a Timberwolves lull where Memphis also misses, on 3 or 4 possessions and it just drops, like there seems to be some opportunities to grab some live totals every game. I don't know if you have thoughts on that.
I agree with that.
They all seem to get there though. Like
here's
eventually
the thing.
It's like, hey, we're at 230 again.
We're going into game 5, 6, and 7.
Do you think the defense gets tighter?
Yes. Yes. Very much so.
Do that? I've never seen them try that.
Yes, absolutely.
I didn't know that was a thing we did.
Oh, yeah. Very, 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 very likely. In my opinion, 232 is high for game 5. I think it comes in under. The next game probably opens in the 230 range. I think you bet the under again. And then you roll all the profits from those 2 unders into whatever the number is for game 7 to the under. Like it could be 224, which is an 8-point adjustment from today, game 5. I would still bet under 224 in game 7 in Memphis. Those 2 teams, the inexperience, the having figured each other out and who matches up with who and who can't be on the court with who, like all of that will have been solved. And that game 7 is going to be a rock fight, in my opinion. So that's how I'm approaching the rest of this.
I'm already calling it the Jarrett Vanderbilt game. 22-14.
Wow.
It feels like
he can finish.
It feels like a cat gets in trouble because he can't handle big spots, foul trouble early. You can't just rely on what would it be? I guess we could have the Naz Reid game.
Yeah, I think you go. Yeah, I don't mind betting Memphis. I'm betting home at this point. Although you're laying 6 points is a lot, so I'm out on that. I think, but I like. I'm gonna tell you, telegraph it now. I'm playing under in game 5. I'm playing Minnesota in game 6, and I'm taking every bit of alt under I can find for game 7.
What do you think? Do you think Minnesota's 2.5 at home in game 6?
Yeah.
Let's assume they lose game 5. So you're getting 2.5, 3 again, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
If everyone's healthy.
Yeah. I think so.
Straight up again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Down with that.
That sounds right to me.
Who would have let's put and we'll talk about that series and how you plan on betting it, but who has the better shot against a Warriors team? Memphis, Minnesota. Probably just Memphis with a little bit of they could actually guard some threes. I feel if Minnesota can't stop Bane from doing what he's doing, what chance do they have against Curry, who has not even played yet? Like a rested, healthy Curry with all kinds of piss and vinegar in him.
It would be a shorter series if Memphis were able to take advantage of all of the limitations that the Minnesota Timberwolves have defending the 3-point line. Mm-hmm. The Golden State Warriors have all of those tools to make Minnesota pay bloody hell, pay dearly from behind the arc. Like that, I think average points scored by the Dubs in that series would probably be 120, 125.
I was just gonna say, are we setting those totals at like 239, assuming like Minnesota scores like 40 points in the fourth quarter, still loses by 12?
Yeah, I think every game has the potential to be 125, 115. Yeah.
I'll take that series.
So realistically, I think Memphis comes through. I think Memphis is a better matchup for Golden State. Golden State has been the runaway equity winner in the last week. Their odds to win the Western Conference have fallen precipitously, aggressively.
Love that word.
They're the hot team. Everybody now is like, finally, for the first time ever, you get to see what they all look like playing together. And that's fine and good and true. Like these guys are very, 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 very fucking good. And they fit pieces together for a playoff team, for a playoff series. Pieces fit together brilliantly. They also matched up against the best possible first round opponent they could have drawn from a get your feet wet with the lineups type of standpoint. Like Denver was an absolutely brutal mismatch in every way, shape, or form. for everything Golden State wanted to try to do offensively. They had no answer for, and they were never going to be able to go horsepower, blow for blow, kind of win a coin flip like they did last night, more than once. And we've now seen the one. So I think likely that Golden State closes this out in 5 and has a fully healthy squad available for the next round of the playoffs whenever those start. I guess game 7 for Memphis is scheduled for Saturday.
Yeah.
This is a Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday deal. Is that right?
No, No, it's Friday for the. I thought the Minnesota game was Friday. Back in Mini on Friday night, so I think it's Sunday, May 1st. So at that point, yeah, it is. It's Sunday.
They're giving them extra rest on this series, huh?
Sunday game first, so it could be the Warriors could be done on Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Four extra days of series for the other squad there. If you do go a full 7, either way, they're going. They're probably
Friday, Sunday.
They're going Friday no matter what.
Oh yeah, for sure. So realistically, during next week, sometime, probably Tuesday or whatever. And honestly, that game it'll be presumably if Memphis pulls on in 7, and that game is on Tuesday with a day at rest after a 7-game series. You're going to probably see the Warriors as 4-point favorites on the road. Something like that. Or it's going to get bet in that direction pretty aggressively, I would say. That's going to be a weird ass market. Anyway, Warriors are good. They are going to be in the Western Conference Finals. I don't think anyone in their current or future matchup is going to stop them. They are going to be a very tough out in the Western Conference Finals if they can stay healthy. You got any other Warriors thoughts?
I don't know. I'm excited. I know that a lot of the smart NBA characters that we talk to are very down on the coach. Like, hey, guess what? A lot of mediocre coaches could have done what you did because, like, what Curry did there for.
You're talking about Steph. You're talking about Kerr, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about Kerr.
Yeah,
so
I agree with that.
People, and and I trust that take, and I can see it as well. Like, when it's not someone who elevates a team, it's like, fuck, you got all the right pieces land in the right spot at the right point in NBA history, and it just worked, and it worked beautifully. But I fell in love with those teams. Those were fun teams, and I it's just like how it's good when traditional powerhouses, like when Notre Dame, Texas, USC, when they're good at football, it's better for the football landscape. It sucks when they suck. It's the same thing now. It's silly because it's not like it's some historical powerhouse, but I didn't like it when the Warriors were bad for a little bit. Not bad, but it's just I wish they were a top team again with some of those. So I'm a Warriors fan until they play the Suns. I back you. Then fuck them. Throw them under the bus.
If that happens, we will be breathing a deep sigh of relief.
What if all right, Suns get fully healthy. Warriors continue to play at this level. Beat Memphis in 5. Suns get fully healthy and look better, though. Are they still favorites in the Western Conference Finals?
To get healthy is the important part of that.
To get healthy is the biggest. They're still a favorite.
If Booker and CP are 100% and they have a decent amount of rest between their series ending and the Western Conference Finals starting, then they'll probably be a minus 120 range, I would guess.
Okay.
But it's going to be close.
Someone in the chat says, how do I get into the Deep Dive D-Gens Discord?
Ooh.
I'm going to go find the tweet that has this.
Yeah.
We didn't know how. We didn't start it. It was started by people like you in the chat, and we had to.
It's a cool club, so don't tell everyone.
Yeah, I had to go figure it out myself. We weren't even in it for the first couple months. I had to figure out how to get in it ourselves. So from at Deep Dive Pod on Twitter is retweeting a tweet right now that is a retweet of a tweet that has the link to the Discord from our guy Steven Lackman.
Steven, that's right.
Yeah. The day after Christmas.
Yeah.
The day after Christmas last year, there's not a single college game.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, so last series in the West, real quick. Mavs take on the Jazz. The Jazz, these games are awful. They're awful to watch.
That's what I said. I'm just gonna
There is
read.
no redeeming positive about watching Jazz-Mavericks. They're ugly. Neither of these teams are fun. Luka Doncic doesn't look right. I'm afraid he's going to get hurt any second. I'm afraid that Rudy Gobert and Mitchell are going to come to blows. The fact that the game-winning basket was a Mitchell alley-oop to Gobert, like, fine. Like, that is still a very uncomfortable relationship between those two players. Jazz should not be trusted. Jazz are on the road 2 of the next 3 in a best of 3 series, and the series price is Mavericks minus 123, Jazz plus 107. I don't know what you're seeing out of the Utah Jazz through 4 games of this series that suggests they ought to be 50-50 with this Mavericks team that's now closer to full strength and has 2 of the 3 home games.
I was going to say, is this another case where it's like people are excited about the coach? It's a good coach with a team that's been good for a few years.
Is Quinn Snyder a good coach? Is that what you're saying?
I feel like people throw his name as a decent coach. I don't know. And
I will abstain.
Past success. Okay. If you
he let
Maxi
Maxi Kleber have, I think, 18 consecutive wide open corner threes in this series without making an adjustment. So, I mean, there's a decent amount of Quinn Snyder has some good qualities, but overall, I would put him very in the middle of the coaches who are still around.
Was this? Do you agree with this take? And has this been surprising to you?
Fantastic. This playoffs is a little bit of an overstatement.
Well, it's only been a few games, so you can say fantastic. It's a small sample.
He's been good. He got the most out of this team from a defensive standpoint that he ever was going to get through a balance of the regular season. So I will give you that. Fantastic overall season. Yeah, I mean, Mavericks are a weird team. Luka is.
You want my Luka take?
Yeah, please.
He looks heavy.
Yes.
Well, just like in my mind,
like body for what he's doing.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, and there are other players who were big. They were heavy guys. There still are. I mean, there's some huge dudes in the league, but I don't know, like something about his bulking just feels like, man, it looks, in my mind, for some reason, I associate that with he's going to get hurt because he's too big now. I don't know. That's where I went with him. He's not hurt. I'm not wishing him to be injured. But
I mean, the calf strain
the
calf strain he sustained that was probably directly tied to how much he played last season, his usage, his playing through the Olympics, and then right into this season, a little bit out of shape through the first couple months. Like, I think it's all part of the same arc. You could, the human body can only take so much, and he's asking a lot of it in the last 12 months. So not crazy. So yeah, Brett clarifies, and I agree with that. Relative to expectations, Jason Kidd has been a fantastic coach. I came in expecting 30th percentile from him, like we got from Chauncey Billups. Kidd gave us like 85th percentile for most of the season, and in the playoffs so far with his first run, I'll give him like 67th percentile, half a standard deviation better than your average coach. There were some, I think the Jazz were, I made this analogy a bunch, but they were a pile of kindling soaked in gasoline, and all you needed to do was throw a match on, and this team was going to implode themselves this playoffs. And I think there is a realistic shot Mavericks probably could have gotten this done a little bit quicker than they have. Like, honestly, it's the fact that it's 2-2 right now, Mavericks, they should be a little disappointed, I will say.
Are you betting the Mavericks tonight? 3 too much?
No, 3 is too much.
I'll live bet it.
I think if you want to bet the Mavericks tonight,
first half,
just play the Mavericks minus 123 in the series, because even if they lose tonight, Luka should continue to get more effective in Game 6 and Game 7. Does that make sense, Andy?
Okay, I'll play some series.
I think series is the right angle of attack. Minus 123. If they win this game, you could capture a ton of equity. If they lose this game, you still have a couple of outs with Luka getting better in Game 6 and Game 7. So if you want to play the Mavericks Jazz, fire away on minus 123.
I didn't get that good of a number.
With that, what number did you get?
170.
For the series?
No, I'm kidding. I got like 125.
Okay, that's fine.
I'll live with that. Have your 2 cents.
Let's answer
That's
this
my 2
question from
cents.
Sam. Sam's always in here giving us some good comments and stuff. Can we answer why the Mavs give up about 12 more 3-point attempts per game when Luka is on the floor versus when he's off?
Well, Sam, I think it has to do with the rest of the lineup more than Luka.
Yeah.
Think about who's out there with Luka when he's in that main starting lineup. I don't actually know the answer. I just thought
the answer is to a degree. Luka can be attacked on defense. Now, let me clarify that. If you had 100% healthy in the month of early in April, you weren't necessarily attacking Luka with reckless abandon. But in Game 4, the Jazz did it, and it was a good strategy. Honestly, they went They went directly at him. They attacked him often. They switched they switched the ball handler onto him so that you can make him work. And in that case, you're going to be able to beat him off the dribble. You're going to be able to get into the lane. At that point, the rim protection is not great for Dallas. And so in general, Dallas is, you're going to have a lot more dribble and kick opportunities when it comes to 3-point attempts than you're going to have when you are going up against them with a bunch of their lengthy wing defenders, which is what you have on the court more often when Luka's not out there. That's my general read on that. I think the Mavs come through here in 6 or 7, and the Jazz probably blow it up. And I don't even know what to tell you how to fix this. Let's move to the East.
Well, real quick then, Mavs. Yeah. Mavs. Let's say, they don't have enough time to get fully healthy, but let's say they look okay. The bench players come together down in Phoenix. They get this done in 6 games. What's the series price for let's just say Mavs in 6, Suns in 6. Nobody else gets hurt. Normal recovery for everyone. What's the series price there?
Sorry, I was distracted by would you bench Ja Morant for the rest of the series? I think if you figure out he has got unusual betting activities, then maybe. Otherwise, no.
Do you remember the play-in game?
Yeah.
Like, he's trying to be ridiculous for the fun hyperbole of like saying something like that, but like the play-in game for the Timberwolves, like they should have benched Cattle out earlier. That guy was broken. Like he wasn't helping anybody. He was making things worse. Yeah. Sometimes there are players like, you know what? I don't care what your name is. You suck right now.
Yeah. So anyway, back to your question about the Mavs.
They both win at 6-game series. What's the Suns Mavs price?
I mean, I'm breathing such a sigh of relief if the Suns get through in 6. I haven't even thought about this.
I'm just trying to put you in like a calm mood when we move to the East.
Suns minus 300 ish. Maybe minus 280, something like that.
Yeah. I like how you're just like, you can't even talk about it with like long exhales.
Because it's gonna be fucking Mavs Pelicans.
That would suck. I don't want to see more Pelicans. No one wants that.
They're a plucky team, man. I don't think people are going to be disappointed watching the Pelicans, especially all those courtside shots of Zion in street clothes.
They don't have to put up. They don't have to put up with you. Like, I don't want the Pelicans.
I know, you don't want that. Okay.
So. Oh, I get cranky Drew, and nobody needs. We've all seen you guys. We should retweet that one. I guess.
Oh, I'm just going to be depressed. I'm not even going to be angry. It's not gonna be cranky. I'm just gonna be freaking. I'm gonna be the George Michael Arrested Development gif.
Oh, I don't want that either. Yeah. Like that's just sad too.
Yeah. Anyway,
what day is it today? We're talking.
Today is Monday, the 25th of April. Game 5 is tomorrow.
All right. So then, other hypothetical: who's favored? Who wins the NASCAR Cup Series race at Darlington in 2 weeks?
Who just won at Talladega? Wasn't it a weird one?
And should we get a guest for that?
No, definitely we should. A 1
I'm
million
thinking
percent
so.
we should.
Alvarado Finals MVP. I already my pool ticket. All right, to the east.
Alvarado's
To the east.
nasty.
Let's not even spend time in Boston. Boston is kicking the shit out of them. Boston was good at the end of the year. People were right. If you got a good plus money price on Boston before the play-in games, because there was this thought process, and I mean, those people weren't dumb. Like, there is a big difference between playing a Nets team that has a ceiling that's up to here and the rest of the teams in the play-in tournament. Like, or obviously, it could only been one other team in that 7 spot, but there was a big ass difference in the ceiling between those teams. The Nets playing like they are, and the Boston Celtics playing at their peak. And we have what we have here, which is, a 3-0 lead. And now we got ref shenanigans in game 4. We'll see if that actually comes true. I hope it does. Just because I love seeing Twitter melt down about that shit. But I'm not spending a lot of thoughts on that. We're done. The Nets can try again next year.
Yeah, I'm fair with
They're
that.
not coming back.
The problem more so than anything else is the Nets just don't have a lot of. If you're gonna recover in the series, you need to have a wild card, big time adjustment that your opponent doesn't see coming, and the Nets don't have that.
And
I don't
I haven't nailed the last 2 coaching things, but I feel like I can say they don't have a coach that has that up his sleeve. We're not going to see the offense reinvented.
No, Nash doesn't have it in his toolbox that we know of, and the team doesn't have it on the roster in terms of what they can use. Did you see the big wild card that they incorporated in Game 3? It was more Blake Griffin minutes. Blake Griffin. Do you remember Blake Griffin? He was the guy that fraudulently won the dunk contest over the Kia. Yeah, that guy. He's not saving you in the series. No,
I remember him in college.
Realistically, if you look at the way the teams have performed, Kevin Durant has gotten utterly smothered because Jason Tatum is performing at an MVP level on both sides of the ball, particularly the defensive side of the ball. A lot of that is because of defensive scheme that the Celtics run, and that Tatum knows he doesn't have more than one responsibility, which is make life miserable for Kevin Durant, and he is doing it exceptionally well. And it is cool to see. If you had a playoffs MVP through 1 week and change, it would go to Tatum. But there's still a lot of games left, and the Celtics still have a very, very difficult path because they draw the Bucks next round, presumably. The Nets were never going to be a very competitive team for the Eastern Conference because of the path, combined with how relatively short-handed they are. Ben Simmons turns out was a big charade, and he's not going to play. And Kyrie Irving, he hasn't been as electric offensively in this series as what we saw from him in the run-up to the playoffs. And one wonders if some of the fasting really did actually have an impact. I think it's not crazy.
I did the I did, and I mean, he's not certain other golfers whose names are associated with the tournament this week, but Phil's name isn't as clean as it once was, but we used to love Phil, and I still do have a soft spot. I did the Phil fasting once. Like, yeah, that kind of whoops your ass not eating for a long time.
It'll kick your ass, yeah. And honestly,
I mean, the people are really doing it for like a full Ramadan. That's a lot of fasting in a row.
Let me tell you 2 things real quick. The market price was never right, ever, on the Nets, in my opinion, for them to win anything in the Eastern Conference. That was just a broken market, a broken price. We've covered that ad nauseum. The market price for the series was short. It was shaded towards the Nets, but not so much that it was like, this is a once in a lifetime kind of bet. Go out there and lay a minus 140 on the Celtics. Like, it was a good bet to make, particularly if you could have gotten some of those early numbers, which were plus money Celtics, which in hindsight seems insane. But it, to a degree, the price was favorable to bet the Celtics, not outrageous. The Celtics got the lucky bounce that they needed in game 1 and game 2. They did. They had the end game. Game winner from Tatum in game 1 was magical. I've seen so many Celtics games where that is not the play they end up with at the end of the game. That just kind of worked out well. And it was very lucky. Not very lucky, but it was fortunate that was, the way that game played out. And to a degree, they let the Nets back into that one. Nets easily could have stolen game 1. Similarly, Nets were the better team for 3/4 of game 2. It just took a really cool special quarter from Jaylen Brown and the defense broadly to get the Celtics back into that game 2. Either of those games could have bounced the other way, though. This was a close series, even though it's the only one that looks likely to end in a sweep. It's the only one that can end in a sweep. But if it ends tonight, it will be the only sweep.
All right, take the 8 series that we started with
Yes.
after the play-in games and start ranking them in your probability that this one ends in a sweep. I think we probably would have put Bucks 1, Suns 2.
Yep.
Philly over Toronto 3, just because of, again.
Miami over Atlanta 4.
Then Miami 4. Then
Grizzlies,
probably Memphis over Timberwolves.
5. Yeah, we forgot about the Warriors. Warriors would have been pretty high.
I don't know.
I bet some. I bet some Warriors. I was pissed yesterday. I bet some Warriors.
We were still. We still like Denver coming to the playoffs. Maybe Denver's ahead of the Memphis one.
Yeah.
We said the Timberwolves. The Timberwolves laying an egg wasn't off the table though, and just getting crushed because they didn't have the
Jazz
playoff,
sweeping the Mavericks was in play. This would have been the 8th out of 8.
I was going to say, was this 8 out of 8?
8 out of 8. Yes.
It had to be.
8
It's going to be the only one. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it is actually. It's quite funny. And honestly, as I said, it may end up a sweep, and I will still tell you that this was a more competitive series definitely more competitive than Golden State Denver.
That game 1 was electric. That was a great game.
Yeah. So try again next year, Nets. And honestly, I'm hopeful that this was such a blowout that next year the spell really has been broken on the Nets. Because if they do actually get a full off season, bring Simmons up to speed, and they get a healthy Joe Harris back, the spacing is immediately
that's a scary team.
Very good team. Yeah. All of a sudden it's everything people thought they were getting with the Nets this year, they might have it next year. So I would not look past
Durant, and honestly, Durant not having to bang through, 10 more playoff games.
Yeah, probably better for him. Yeah. He gets a full off season now. I will also say this: Durant is getting hit by the aging curve. If you go look at his performance is tailing, but it's not nearly as severe as either Harden or Westbrook. Yeah, but both of those guys were more severe.
When you hit that aging curve, when it was this high,
it's not ever going back up.
Yeah, I know, but when the top of that peak was up here, it's still coming down. He's still still all-star level, even though he's on the downswing. So that's the other one tonight in the East, Toronto, Philly. Someone mentioned that's a lot of points. Sixers minus 8 feels like a bit.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a team that has been competitive in a couple spots.
This morning
in Philly, but still.
Circles were off this morning, and it was 7 at Chris.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone who watches and handicaps the NBA knew Fred VanVleet was not playing. We knew it but it was Saturday. We knew Fred VanVleet was not playing this game. And yet, when they announced he was out, it moved to 8. So there's a free point there for you if you want to back the Raptors. In general, the Raptors series, the game 4 was ugly. It was sloppy by Philly. They were flopping all over the place. They were not getting a friendly whistle. It was a home whistle for Toronto. That was why it was where they won by margin. But there was a huge change where Pascal Siakam was a lot more active on the offensive side of the ball. He was a lot more aggressive. All the passive nature that we saw from him through the first 3 games of the series was kind of shaken. And I thought he was much more kind of took control and kind of really led the team, particularly in the absence of Fred VanVleet. I think that's where Pascal Siakam is at his best, is when he is the floor general. And so I think the Raptors are going to be a tough to beat tonight. This is going to be a hard out for Philly. And honestly, if the Raptors win this game, Philly's going to have a lot of questions they're asking themselves in the back of their head as we head into game 6 and game 7. I'm not saying I think you take the points with the Raptors tonight and you enjoy the game, and it's probably a 4-1 Philly series win. But if you are so inclined to bet them on the money line tonight, you might as well take 20-1 to win the series. Because you're going to if you bet them on the money line tonight, you're going to want to bet them on the money line in game 6, and you're going to want to bet them on the money line in game 7. You might as well take 20-1 right now. What do you think?
That's what this oh man, I've been bad at names today. I don't want to try Michael's. Arakalian? Michael says, I wish I just played some Raptors series before game 4 on the principles of Doc Rivers being the opposing coach. They were 40-1, even 20-1 now. Instead of just playing them, or even if even if you're like me and Drew just convinced you to click the +8, maybe another little small nibble on 20-1 is pretty fun too. Gives me something to cheer for in game 6 if it happens.
Yeah.
And if not, I think they still stay within the number. I'm glad I saw that one and everyone agrees, because so far my NBA stuff was like, Andy, that's the wrong take. But like, I thought that was a lot of points.
You sure you want that one? Okay.
I thought it was a lot of points.
We haven't even mentioned it, but James Harden hasn't really shown us the explosiveness as the series has gone on, as what we were teased with in game 1 and 2. Like, he's either getting tired or not trying as hard, because this looks like this one's a wrap. Joel Embiid is dealing with a thumb injury. The Raptors are doing a much better job of limiting the damage that Maxey is doing, and those are really the only 3 people that can make you hurt. So there are some questions in my mind swirling about Philly. If Philly does get through tonight, hold court, move on to the next round, where they likely face the Heat, they are going to be a team that will be pretty aggressively bet against in the market, is my read. What is your temperature on the Sixers in the market? You haven't heard anyone being like, oh man, they got this done against Toronto a lot easier than people thought. They're going to make some noise. They could go to the Eastern Conference Finals. You haven't heard anyone really kind of ramp that up, have you?
If we're going to start to see some Harden taking minutes or games off and Embiid's hurt, I don't want him against the Heat in a road series. Like, that's not something I mean, I should never say I don't want them. That's the dumbest thing you see in sports betting in general. Is like, I would never bet this. Like, yeah, what if I gave you $1 million to 1? Oh yeah, I'd probably bet this. I'd probably bet the 76ers. Like, there's a price at which everything's available and bettable. But like, yeah, but I don't know. Like, the market sentiment, if it's right where, I mean, what does that open at? Minus 225?
Minus 180 probably.
Really? I guess I'm even more bullish on the. I think, and I guess that leads us to the next series. Is Atlanta just done then? Is that the end of this?
I think so. The Heat are a tough team
tomorrow.
The Heat are a tough team to bounce back against. And there's not a lot of obvious for me to point to that Nate can go to for how do you save the day here? They may be able to. I mean, singular performances by some of these players maybe they rescue this from the brink, but I think realistically this is a wrap.
My biggest takeaway and my biggest question for you tomorrow is Miami at home, early game, early start time. Is that a spot where the NBA gives an award out? Like, can I get this off? Like, I have
Does TNT have a pregame show tomorrow?
I have an account I don't use all that much where I got the best number on Hero.
What'd you get, 20 to 1?
I got some 16 there.
Nice.
I got some 20 elsewhere, but the one where I got the most down was at the 16 to 1. And now every last, again, it's not an account I'm using on the regular.
Zero balance there. You're waiting for this.
Well, no, yeah. So, I didn't until last week, but every single other last dime in that account now is tied up in draft props. Yeah. To the point where it's like I ended up betting everything I could and wanted to for the limit, and then I had like $42 more. So I found one more that I'm like, I'll bet this one too. So now so every time I log in, it's like, hey. You know, some of them, like, it has a little pop-up. Hey, you should reload. It's like, no, I'm about to have a lot of money in this account. You need to just make this happen. And it's honestly been bugging me because it's happening, right? We're not, is there a non-zero chance that we get screwed on this? No, I didn't think so.
The votes have been counted. It is.
That's what I thought. Like,
99.99999%. Yes. It is 100%. He has won the award. They just haven't announced it yet.
Okay.
Okay. So. Yeah.
Oh, Sam got a 25 to 1.
Oh.
And it settles on Monday nights on that account.
Yeah. Nice bet, Sam. Okay, so I could see it happening tomorrow. The pregame show for TNT's goes from 4 to 4:30 before the tip off of the Timberwolves Grizzlies game at 4:30. They could do it tomorrow. Let's say that they do, Andy. What are you going to roll those winnings into? Short-term prop betting, what would be your I'm blind firing this into something that's minus 500 that should be minus 5,000?
Most of most of the draft props there were pretty low limit. Like
Oh,
it took
really?
me a lot of bets to use up the rest of that account. Like, but again, it was a lot of stuff I liked, but it took a bunch of them. There's
Well,
probably
just
not much.
let's pretend like they open up all limits, and
Oh
you
no,
can
I'm just saying, like
roll
every
all of
time I
that back
shop for
into.
golf prices, they don't usually have a good golf price. Maybe I'll find a tennis future there I like.
Parlay
Savannah.
Iga French Open with Joker Wimbledon.
I have Munich prices open.
Yeah, no, no, what would be your number one fire liquidity into a high likelihood draft prop?
You know what I would probably do? I would wait till after the draft and fire it on maybe a full season NFL prop.
Oh, okay.
Or Dan has kind of talked me into this defensive player from is it just Georgia? Another one? Is it Trayvon Henderson? I forget who we're supposed to be.
Trayvon Walker 1.01. Is that who you're talking about?
No, Heisman. Oh, that's the running back.
Will Anderson from Alabama?
Maybe that's it. I'm supposed to bet a defensive player for Heisman. Oh, Dan is suddenly on camera.
It's got to be Will.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the best number there. There's a 50-1 on Will Anderson Jr. Not as maybe I can find a better price than that. Will Anderson, Alabama. So maybe I'll bet. You know what? I'll bet a defensive Heisman. That feels like that's not gonna be something I laugh at later on when one of these quarterbacks throws for 48 touchdowns. Here's back to the West real quick. Is this true? Did Minnesota have injuries? I mean, I don't know if they were super injured. I think they just kind of played inconsistently and shitty during parts of the season.
I don't know about that.
There were times late in the season where it was just so bunched up there between Utah, Denver, Minnesota. Like, they pull out a couple coin flip games in the middle of the year. They're a 5 seed.
I think Minnesota is one of the most they are who we think they are kind of teams. Like they performed exactly the way we thought, and they're that good. And there's nothing really there's not a big market edge to be had one way or the other, betting or fading.
Yeah, the standings were real close. Like, yeah, they win 3 more games, they're like a 5 seed.
So we mentioned it. Heat get through in 5. Raptors hopefully covered at 9 in a losing effort. Philly, Miami, my fair's like minus 180 plus 180. Or I'm expecting the market to be there. Mine's a little bit higher than that. Boston through. Bucks through. Boston
Bucks game is not tomorrow. It is not till Wednesday.
That's pretty dumb.
Yeah, there's not a Bucks game until Wednesday. Early line 365 has a 10 on that. I'm not sure if that's happening.
Neither of the last 2 games in Chicago were remotely competitive. Chicago got their win, and they're ready to go to Cancun.
1, 2, 3.
Bucks are going to be without Middleton for the Celtics series. Celtics are going to be with Robert Williams. Those are 2 very, very distinct changes from what we knew pre-playoffs.
Yeah.
And they matter. If the Bucks open up as favorites, hold on to your hats. Like, the Celtics money is going to be as green as it ever is. Celtics green, coming hot and heavy for the Celtics if you make them a dog.
I don't hate it. I hate Boston in general. I don't want to see their teams competitive, but that sucks. Like, that sucks for the Bucks. I want that to be a competitive series. Do you think, just because the whole world knows it, do you think there's going to be a little value in the Bucks?
No.
Or just, I mean, the Celtics are just playing too well.
Celtics equal-ish rest. Celtics home. Celtics full strength. Middleton coming back at some point. Series price ought to be about Celtics minus 135.
Okay, fine with it.
All right. I think we covered it all.
I think my bet may be... I wish I had a bigger price on this, too. Is there going to be anything to Todd Bowles, Coach of the Year, having to step in like this? The team's already so good. I don't think he can win it. I'm still just looking for a prop to bet.
I don't think so. What about? We'll find a good one for the NFL for sure. I haven't really thought hard about this yet at all.
Chicago overperforming would be a Eberflus was live, but I'd want to find 40 on that to bet that. I think they have a young quarterback who in probably a bad situation. If they protect him and things work out a little bit in the Windy City, like that's a team where they win 11 games and a wild card. Like Eberflus is fully in the conversation. I haven't got deep into this market yet. You know, I'm not betting Pete Carroll. Never have, never will. Celtics have winning time mojo, bulletin board material. That's true. Jerry West has every right to complain about how they demonized him on the show. Celtics didn't get much better treatment, man. They make the whole city look like assholes, which is whatever. Such is life. Cool. Yeah, let's reconvene here for some draft talk Wednesday, and then we'll some people brought up draft night halftime show. I don't know how that would work.
Ooh.
Do we want to maybe after the top 10 pop on us? I don't know. I'm not sure I hadn't really thought it out. Just someone brought it up. I'm not sure if
are there going to be live props to bet anywhere?
See, it's always just
even
been
Bovada.
Bet Online. Bet Online's always. I don't think Bovada had them. It was always just.
I remember Bet Online did it, but it was the pandemic year.
The legal books will, but that doesn't help me much unless I drive to Illinois. No. I'm not crossing the river at Dubuque this weekend or this week. No. What's the city across from Dubuque?
What are you going to do with all of your Trayvon Walker 1.01 CLV?
I don't know. What's Bitcoin at right now?
40.
Oh, it went up a little. 43.
I know, dude. You want to talk about a double whammy when I, have nightmares that the Suns are going to lose and I'm going to have to pay out 6 figures. And then you look at the price of Bitcoin this morning in the 38 range. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It was not a great feeling.
You know what? If Solana is under 95, maybe some of that.
Some soul
coin.
Soul crushers. All right.
East Dubuque. All right. What's across the river from Dubuque? East Dubuque.
Hey, we'll do something fun for the draft.
We'll come up with something. We'll think of something. If you think of something good, put it in the Discord. And yeah, Jerry West is in the news. There's no such thing as bad PR. Oh, this is the pick. Falcons to finish with the worst record. Those markets aren't really up yet, but the Falcons have every reason to tank, get the quarterback of the future. They have a tough schedule and they have a bad roster. Draft a bunch of players that don't help you much this year, have them ready for next year, tank the shit out of the season, and then the Dirty Bird 2.0 rising in 2024.
Yeah. Hey, what's your opinion on Shamil's question?
I mean, it's hard to say because it's informational. What do you put the percentage at? I mean, there's people in the chat joking that they felt 95% sure that Trayvon Walker was going first. So then you should be betting more. It was plus 150 at that
big
time.
Big bets down still. Yeah, everyone will write you a bet right now on this.
Yeah, if you make something 95% and the market is at plus 150, you should be. I mean, Kelly Criterion would have you doing some sort of work down at the bank with a reverse mortgage, selling your car.
Especially because Bookmaker has them at minus 250. And they're writing $3,000 bets.
Yeah, I don't love it just because the uncertainty of a draft makes me not bet. If I'm betting a big minus number, it has to be something that just has multiple outs, like wide receivers, top 32 wide receiver kind of thing, or things that has multiple paths to victory. This has there's 3 different opinions down there in Duval still, and it sounds like one is winning out clearly, but you still never know.
Yeah, there's better bets to be made.
I think if you miss the bet on that, just keep shopping around. There's so many good.
Tune into the 4-for-4 draft prop in a couple hours, and you'll hear all the better bets that are to be made.
Yeah, and really, if you have Circa, they just put up 32 over-unders for everyone.
Also, you know what's going to be funny? Watch some of these offshores and even the legal shops. Watch their prices move after this shows while it's going on live. You'll crack up regardless. of winning or losing the bets. Silva will say something. Kanish will say something. The market's going to move. It's going to be funny.
Yeah. And there'll be places that move slow. If they say something you like, have a bunch of tabs open. Somebody's not moving fast. You'll be able to middle stuff if you have enough books open. For sure. Go have some
you want
fun with
arbitrage?
that, so.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. There's better bets to be made. Raptors.
Yeah. The Raptors are about a 50. I make them about a 52% chance to stay within 8. You're getting a free extra point because of the injury bullshit today. So there's that.
All right, we'll be back. We'll be back Wednesday. Hit the thumbs up, follow along, follow the YouTube channel, subscribe at Deep Dive Pod on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter. Follow BetSperts on Twitter. Follow producer Dan on Twitter. I never know how to. It's really Dan Weiner. Is there an underscore in there? No underscores. I'm gonna retweet him too. He puts some funny stuff on once in a while when he's not just talking about F1 and Atlanta sports. Otherwise, we'll catch you guys Wednesday. Go get ready.
Did you see our insider popped into the old chat there? Did you catch up yet?